Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Elon Ferdman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Pep Talk, Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Elon Ferdman. About to delve into part 2 of my interview with Joanne and Crista. So again, a conversation about what's possible for the world when it comes to sex discrimination, something that I was completely oblivious to that was happening in the venture capital and investment world and female startup world, and a very illuminating conversation. I really hope that you guys pull from the stories and the experiences and share this with people, men and women, so that women are empowered and men understand what it is that we are doing to these beautiful, strong, powerful girls and women who are trying to go out there and make a profound difference in the world. And then lastly, before we jump into the interview, we are hosting a 10-part series for our Have It All Academy. All the conversations about how to recreate a relationship with your ego that works and has you manifest the life of your dreams. So we deal with your limiting beliefs. We deal with the power of your word. We deal with responsibility. We deal with all of the things that you have that are stopping you from having abundance, love, connection, health in your life right now. It's absolutely free. All you have to do is head over to youwillhaveitall.com/webinar and register for the next one. They are on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is New York time. So do the calculations. And whether you come to the live event, obviously come to the live event if you can, because we can bring you out and actually have one-on-one interactions with you. But if you can't for whatever reason, because the time doesn't work, please still register, because we will send you out the replays, and then that way you can still get the goods. This is all value driven. We're going to share with you what we do at our Have It All Academy, which are group coaching, and also what we're doing in November in San Diego. So you can find out more about that as well. So again, head over to youwillhaveitall.com/webinar and get yourself registered for the next one. And until we see you on the live webinar, enjoy this interview with Joanne and Crista. Have an amazing day, my friends. For sure.
Yeah. I don't think they realize it. It's just, oh my God, hold on. It's just this old school, mentality of how they grew up or how their parents treated, your father treated women. I mean, it's not that they don't have respect or understanding, or maybe they feel uncomfortable. I don't know the answer. But I think of anything, yes, I'm investing in people. I look at people across the board. I do make a conscious decision, which is I really want to support women and minorities. I really
just know how difficult it is for them, kind of.
Much more difficult. It's much more difficult. It just is.
I'm curious, are there studies or statistics about this kind of stuff, or it's just kind of underground and no one really talks about it?
Right. People know. If you look at the investors on the other side of the table, less than 10% of them are women. And minorities, I think, are like minimal. So, it's really hard. I mean, at the end of the day, the people that you're investing in, particularly when you get to an institutional round, you're married to these people. They are in your business. They are your partners. They're coming in once a week, maybe 2 or 3 times a month, depending on what your needs are. There's a board meeting every month. They are doing everything in their power to help your business succeed and move forward, and they become part of the company. And you don't want to be in a company, you don't want to bring in someone that you don't connect with.
Yeah.
And so when there are more people like you on the other side of the table, or people that are colorblind to everything on the other side of the table, and that makes for a great partnership. But there are some VC funds that have done a great job of investing in people. And they have a huge amount of women on their investment roll.
I mean, when we spoke before the interview, I remember you saying, and I wholeheartedly agree with this, I think women are just preconditioned, like based on just human skills, screw like what you learn, all that stuff. I just think from an intuition perspective, from a being organized perspective, for a detail-oriented perspective, like all the things that come naturally to women, in my brain would say they would make way better founders and CEOs and things of companies than men would.
Women are great entrepreneurs. Listen, having children and running a household, like that's an entrepreneurial job.
Exactly. Crista, what would you, I want to switch gears a little bit, like your experience, and you're pretty young, your company's very successful and still very young, growing really fast. What would you like to see happen, or what would you love for girls coming up to know so that they can kind of go through this process with confidence and just some sort of knowledge?
I mean, I don't know. I just think that knowing, and I think that to Joanne's point, I think people are coming out of college now more so less scared of failure. And I think just knowing that it's okay to fail. Like it's not like you don't have to be perfect at everything. Being perfect sometimes I think would be prohibitive to you actually building anything. Like perfectionism prevents you building something. So I think just knowing that and being okay with that. And from my experience, I'm definitely a bit of a perfectionist. I'm the typical type A, but I'm really focusing. Yeah, I've been focusing a lot and letting go of things. And just
hard.
It's very hard. And just knowing that you could get in your own way and essentially make your business fail if you try to be perfect in that regard, and being okay with failure and not being too hard on yourself.
Do you have an example off the top of your head of how in business your perfectionism stopped you from either seizing an opportunity or moving the business forward somehow?
Well, I think it's definitely an asset.
For sure, for certain things.
But prevented me from moving forward. I think that we innovate slower because of perfectionism, but I think it's a good thing because I don't think we need to have so many SKUs. So I think in the beginning we were launching less flavors because if a flavor does not recreate tasting ice cream again for the first time for us, we don't launch it. So it has to have that.
Say that again. If a flavor what?
Does not recreate eating ice cream again for the first time. So that feeling when you're like a kid and you ate ice cream and you didn't really know what it was and you're like, holy shit, it got blown away. This rapture. I try to recreate that with every flavor. And so it can make you a little bit slower to innovate. So that's a thing of perfectionism. I think things that slowed down before in the past have been hard. I think maybe just like with the messaging around maybe like my investor decks and things like that, like just never being done, that's been like slowed things down before. But I can't think of anything really, because I think was actually instrumental in my business partner that was, she was a UX designer and she's all about like really fast iterations of things and testing and validating and bringing things to market, lower fidelity, like frameworks of a business. And so that was really influential for me. So I don't know if I actually really applied the perfectionism to the extent of my business. I do it more in my personal life. So less in my business. I'm more likely to do something, make a mistake and move very quickly.
Gotcha.
Not really care.
What's that saying? Perfection is perfection is the something of the good is so.
Yeah.
Good is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. But women in general as entrepreneurs, I have seen where at the beginning, it's crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure it's perfect. We're not ready to launch. Should we launch? And it's finally they launch and then there's always problems.
Always.
But as their businesses evolve and they become bigger and bigger, and then they're hitting their mark where they're, they go out and they raise, let's say, $10 million and they have like a significant valuation, all of a sudden there's this shift and the foot goes on the gas and they're moving the business forward at a very different clip. And they delegate, they put senior people around them that are smarter and better than they are at a particular thing. And then they rise to the top. Whereas I think at the beginning, people will say, well, how many exits have you had? It's like, well, I'm invested in, 75% women. It takes a lot longer. And I can exit a lot longer. It just is one of those things. Whereas this one company I'm invested in, 2 guys, the first hire was a woman, and I really liked what they were doing. And they were your classic males. They raised the money. A year later, they got another run. 12 months later, they got another one. Every time up, 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 up. And now, they have an insane valuation over 36 months, and the company's just flying. It's just it's your classic what's supposed to happen. I've never seen that with a woman.
Why?
Because they're just want to make sure they're happy to slow it down. Slow it down. Raising money is painful, more painful than ever. And so God forbid, I don't want to get in a place where I'm going to run out of money. So I'm going to slow the process down, make sure everything's great, put the product out there. I know that I'm going to be able to capture the right amount of money to move me forward. It's just about fear. And I get it. But yeah, you have to have that entrepreneurial spirit that allows you to do what you do and apply that to how you also operate.
Absolutely. It's interesting because Crista was mentioning, I think every entrepreneur treats their business like a baby. But it's interesting, right? Like women have an innate ability to take care of babies, right? And it's very careful and making sure that they're okay, right? Whereas dads, if you think about it, fathers are much more like, oh, let them fall, jump off a couch, whatever. So it's interesting when when you're saying they slow everything down, it's almost like it's a very nurturing process for them, much more than a male who's like, well, fuck it. If it doesn't work, we'll build another one.
Yes.
Yeah. It sounds like there's that little shift. Joanne, just to kind of drive this home point, what's the craziest thing you've seen in a meeting or heard someone say or an interaction or something that happened that just blew your socks off? You're like, I cannot believe we live in a world where this is happening. And name names, all of them. No, I'm just kidding.
So one that really resonated with me and that this is years ago. And I was at a event that was like a big tech event. They did this fashion show to raise money in the Armory. This had to be 4 years ago, 5 years. I don't even remember, but some in the past. Yeah. And I just committed to invest in a company, woman founder, and we're at the event. She comes in, she sees me. I'm talking to someone I know that I've known a really long time about. Very successful entrepreneur turned investor. And she's showing me the new launch or whatever it was on the iPad. And he was making these comments to her. Like, oh my God, that's so cute. You're so hot, blah, 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 the business. And I'm thinking, oh my fucking God.
Wow.
I cannot believe you're saying this. And so he went on and then I was like, okay, you have to say something. So I said to him, excuse me, can I talk to you for 1 second? And he's like, yeah. I said, no, over here, by the bar.
Where people can't hear me tear off your head.
Right. And so I said to the entrepreneur, I said, 1 second. So we walk over there and I said to him, that was so unbelievably unprofessional. And I said, let me switch it for you. Your son walks in to show you his new business with his iPad. And I'm like, you're so hot. Look at your 6-pack. Why would you do this? You're such a good looking guy. I go, how would you feel about that? I said, that is so awful what you just did. I said, if I ever hear you talk to someone like that in front of me again, I swear to God, I'll take you out on the floor.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
Like, you know, Joanne,
I just got chills.
I get married, I have kids. I was like, I don't give a shit. And the next day, he actually delivered something to my house with a gift. You know, thank you so much. You can teach him, you know, you can teach old dog whatever new tricks.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can't, because he's continued to do it.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think he even realizes it.
No, he doesn't.
That's the thing.
No.
It comes from a family. I mean, your past has to do with your present.
100%.
You know, I was just like, I'm not going to let this pass me by.
I just love that you stood up for it, that you have the courage to do that. I would think that most people would just take it on the chin and be like, wow, what an a-hole, and that's it.
Well, I do say to women, you know, like, here's a perfect example. Founders I'm invested in, the business is doing amazing. And she went to see someone that I introduced her to, and he said to her, same thing, you know, you can have children, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, this is a great business, but I got to be honest with you. My guess is you're going to grow it, you know, to be maybe $10 million, then you sell it, and then it's not worth it to me because you're not going to stick with it. And I know her, and I said, let me guess, you started coming back with data. And she was like, yeah. And I said, what you should have said is, fuck you, you don't know me, and by the way, I don't want you invested in my company. And I think it's really hard for anyone when they go in and pitch people and they realize they're not treating them at the level they should be respected of, that they started something. People on the other side of the table didn't start anything. Those people couldn't have anything to invest in if it wasn't for entrepreneurs. You know? It's like, and we're lucky that we get to invest in their companies and be part of their ride. And so, you know, every time I see him, I always think that in my head. And, you know, I say to people, you literally need to say, thank you so much, pleasure meeting you, get up and leave. Because you don't want them in your company anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard. You know, you don't want to make a name for yourself, you know, and they leave and they're like, oh my God, that was so awful.
And I think also women tend to be pleasers. And so lots of times you walk into those pitches, and lots of times it's really hard because to keep the pitch and, you know, you can keep the power in the pitch, they'll try to redirect it. And then next thing you know, you're just trying to please them. And it's really hard to stay on focus and not let them lead that conversation. And yeah, so anyways.
Crista, did you notice that when you, as you were going through the process, like when you ran into Joanne, for example, was pitching Joanne different than pitching a room full of men, for example?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And I think that now, though, I'm much more confident in it. I kind of got beat down at my old job a bit. And it took me a while to rebuild myself, you know, but yeah. And also just Joanne, I think just in general, just the way conversations flow with her, she's very inquisitive.
Yeah.
It's very like, it's pretty intense going back and forth, asking questions with Joanne, you know, it's fun. So I think that I was definitely scared because she's really well known in the space, but once I started talking to her, it was really clear to me that she's just a really amazing human being, and it was great talking to her.
Aww.
Thank you. But I will tell you, if you went into a room of men now, you would own the room.
Yeah, and I do, you know, now. There's been one instance like a while ago.
What was the shift?
I think just muscle memory. You know, it's like that's practicing it, you know, and then you don't pitch for a while and you get loose. I mean, you get like, you know, you get rusty, but
it's success.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true as well.
I mean, you're having success. When you have success, you know, you need to stand on your soapbox.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, you kind of just like have to go in there and be like, you know, I mean, I'm a dreamer, you know, and I'm just selling the dream. So I think it's easy for me in that regard. And sometimes I used to get nervous, like going to pitches. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm nervous. I don't like practice. And I was like, you know, I know this business so well, I don't need to practice. And so, yeah.
But here's the thing. You're no longer selling a dream.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I forget.
And that's a shift too.
Yeah. That is a shift. You're right. Yeah.
Well, you still have to go through a process of sorts. But to raise that first dollar and to go through that process, that's the part that I'm really curious about, because Joanne, it sounds to me like you. Say it again?
That's the dream.
That's the dream, yeah.
But it sounds to me like you, Joanne, you love investing in that dream because you love to find the people that are the dreamers tenaciously, like, we'll do this till the last breath. I'm just curious, like, as a guy, so back to that study, right? They were saying, like, if a guy looks at a job opportunity and he'll apply if he meets 60% of those qualities. A woman needs to meet 100%. Like, they won't even apply unless that. So I'm just thinking, for an entrepreneur, which is way scarier than applying for a job, right? Go and ask for money is just, I don't care who you are, it's scary. That process is different. You bring something to the table, Joanne, that gives people an opportunity to actually sell the dream, whereas others might be like, well, when are you having kids?
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking questions to anyone, but what's interesting is, my husband's firm, every 2 years, they look for brand new analysts. It's part of what they do. And they put it out to the world in a blog post, which is, we are now accepting analysts who would like to apply for the job. You get to answer 2 questions. And so you need 2 separate videos to be made. They're each 3 minutes. They don't care where they go to school. They don't care where they worked. They don't care where they're from. If they're from another country, they have to have a visa so they can work here. And that's it. And so they go through hundreds and hundreds of these videos and then narrow it down. And, what's interesting is only out of all the, I think it was 400 or 500 videos, people that applied.
Wow.
Only 15% are women. And, there's a lot of conversation about that I had with my husband, why? And I said, I think that for women, it's the crossing the T's and the dotting the I's. The only women that applied really thought, I have the tools to get this job. Whereas the other 85% of the men, there was probably only 5% of them that actually had the tools. And, so I saw, it's like some of the applications, it was just like, great, this is great, I'm really great, you're great. It was not like, and it's fascinating, right? Because that is, again, sort of what you went to earlier in the conversation is boys are growing up in school and they're like, just sit in your seat.
Just keep trying.
Right. Just keep trying with no thought that, well, I kind of deserve this job because I'm smart. Whereas these women were, they were locked and loaded.
Unreal.
It's funny because I'd taken this complete opposite approach. I went to art school and I was getting my master's and I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore. So I just started applying to jobs and I didn't know anything about the job. I just went in there, learned a little bit, pitched it, and then I just learned the job and then ended up taking my boss's job. After that, I applied to be like a photo retoucher and then I became an SEO analyst and then I became the head of all e-commerce. And I think that women entrepreneurs are a bit more like, I think, men. And that's why, we're willing just to kind of fake it till we make it.
Well,
yeah, and I think that's a good thing. But I also see more women who even though they're entrepreneurial from the very get-go, like you were, and like I was, is that they're willing to take those jobs out of school to learn and educate themselves so they can be better when they start their own companies.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And men don't think as much like that.
Mm-hmm.
Women
That's
are
true.
much more, in general, much more long-term, like long vision thinkers. Men, and I don't know if it's testosterone or, everyone has ego, but it's like now, instant. And if it doesn't work, F it, instant.
Mm-hmm.
Women are much, like you said, much more methodical about this kind of stuff, which again, to me, when Crista was saying this stuff to me, I'm like, I don't understand because so it's me and my brother in my company. And the first hire we made, we were like, we have to get a woman in here. Like, we have to. There's just so much testosterone. Like, we need someone to organize this and just give us that feminine energy to actually take this company to the next level. I know we're running out of time, so I just want to ask you both this last question. And I'll give you 2 options that you can answer it in. It can either be personal or like a message to upstart women, right? But something that you wish you would have known when you started, or, you know, back then that you know now that you can impart on other people that are out there starting this business?
Ooh. Me first?
Either one, yeah.
Joanne, you want to take it first?
Go ahead.
Oh God. I mean, I feel like there's so many things I wish I had known. It's hard to think about just one.
And however many you want, but yeah, at least
I think that something I wish I had known would be that I think it's necessary to really push yourself, and there's a lot of sacrifice, but you do not have to sacrifice your personal life and your happiness for the business. And because if you do, that's going to be detrimental to your business's growth. So, you know, not having a life for 5 years was really hard for me. And now that I have one and I've really focused on that, I've seen my business be much more successful. So knowing that, I wish I had known that you can have it all, but I think it was necessary to put in that sweat equity. But it's necessary, but there's only so much sacrifice that you have to make. So
have it all. Have it all.
Well, the thing about that is, like, sleep is good.
Yeah.
You know? And vacations are good.
Oh, yeah.
I think you become a better business person and run a much better operation when you give your brain that time to sort of rest and think about different things. I think at the beginning, almost you have to, like, just dive in deep.
Yeah.
Yes.
But once you start moving down the road, the importance of having dinner with people or taking a couple days off and getting off the grid, it's you come back more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Crista, it's a conversation we literally had this week, right? About people are more productive when they actually scale back the amount of time that they're in their business.
Yeah.
Both of you, so from a guy entrepreneur, I want to tell you that I love the fact that there are super powerful women making amazing things happen in the world. As a father of a daughter, knowing that you guys have blazed this path makes my heart warm and fuzzy, because I know she's walking out into a world that's going to be very, very different 15, 20 years from now. And I hope that I can instill some of the things that I get to learn from powerful women in her, and that she doesn't lose her femininity in the process to try to fit into a, you know, male dominated culture. I think a lot of women go that route. And I just want to thank you on behalf of everyone for actually going around the color of people's skin and the sex and the race and all that stuff, and just really treating people as human beings. I think that's what we all are. It's just one race, right? Like, we're all human beings. So thank you. And thank you for sharing this and so openly. I know it's probably crazy to just say some of the stuff that you guys did and think like, oh my God, people are actually like this. So thank you. And I don't know if Joanne, if you want people to contact you or people reach out to you, is there anywhere that they can reach you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm, you know, my website is Gotham Gal. My email's right there. I read and answer all my emails. Don't answer on LinkedIn, so don't email me there. I just don't have the bandwidth, but I do answer my emails when they come into my box.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Crista, where can people find out about you and your delicious mind-bending ice cream?
Find out about me on finandphoebes.com, and you can shoot over an email on the contact on the bottom of our site, and I typically will respond right back to you. I meet with people that are aspiring to start businesses all the time. I love giving advice because I didn't have that in the beginning. I reached out to people and nobody really helped me. I just had to figure it out. So I'm always willing to give it back and take what I've learned and, you know, help in any way. So
amazing. Guys, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, have a great weekend. Bye.
All right, my friends. So that wraps it up. I don't know about you. As you can see, I pretty much got heated and emotional through this. But for me, my biggest takeaway was, how am I interacting with my daughter? What is it that I'm doing to empower her and not rob her of this freedom to not make her be perfect or have to be daddy's perfect little girl. And I think, again, these are just tribal conversations that have been permeated through our cultures. Doesn't matter what country you're in. And that is just the way we operate as dads with our beautiful little girls. And it's really eye-opening. And I invite all of you to take a step back and kind of analyze, how is it that you're operating as a parent? How is it that you're operating as a teacher or an uncle or anything like that to shape the lives of these incredible women? Joanne and Crista are obviously doing the best they can as shining examples. It's up to us. It really is up to us to diminish and squash these conversations once and for all. It's what Guy and I are super passionate about. And that's what we do at our Have It All Academy. So again, like I said in the beginning, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, which is New York time, we have our free, totally free live webinar. Amazing content. Each week it's different. We share tools and distinctions with you that you can go and implement right now. In fact, we got an email just the other day of a guy that completely transformed his relationship with his father. Other people, just massive breakthroughs around money. And this is while being on a webinar for 45, 60 minutes. So if you're looking for massive breakthroughs in areas of health, relationships, finances, make sure you come and hang out on these webinars. So all you have to do is head over to youwillhaveitall.com/webinar. Again, all spelled out, youwillhaveitall.com/webinar, and come join us. Come see the kind of training and distinctions that we share with our students and see if it's a right fit for you. I know we all want to build amazing, magical lives, and sometimes we just don't really have the tools, or we just don't know what's stopping us or in our way. The answer is it's you. You're in your way of your own greatness. What we do is get you out of your own way. And we're inviting you to come check that out. So again, youwillhaveitall.com/webinar. Look forward to seeing you, and we'll see you on the next Performance Enhancing Podcast. Thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and always leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can watch more awesome videos just like this one. And if you're interested, here are 2 of our recently most popular videos that you can grab and watch right now. Until we meet next time, have an amazing day.